All right, today we're going to do a little bit of cultural archaeology. We're going on a journey to find the source code, the cultural DNA, behind some of the most powerful, most soul stirring traditions in America.
So let me ask you this. When we talk about that deep, resonant soul of Black American culture, where does it really come from? Now, the common answer is, of course, Africa. And look, that's true. But it's also incredibly broad. It's kind of like saying a painting comes from Europe. Today, we're going to zoom in a lot. Think about these sounds and symbols for a second. That counterclockwise shuffle of the ring shout, the incredible electric energy of call and response in a church service, the whole myth of the crossroads in blues music, or even the tradition of decorating graves with specific things like shells and bottles. These are all these powerful pieces of a cultural puzzle, and today, we're going to find out exactly where they connect. Because here's the thing. What historians and scholars have discovered is that all of these threads, all these cultural expressions that seem kind of separate, well, they can all be traced back, and not to a dozen different places, but to one specific, powerful, and profoundly influential African civilization. And this, right here, is the central idea. The sources put it so plainly. No other African polity left a deeper, more traceable, and continuous imprint on Black American culture. Just listen to those words. Deeper, traceable, continuous. They all point to one place, the historical Kingdom of Kongo. This is the source code we've been looking for. Okay, so that's a huge claim, right? So how can we be so sure? Well, the evidence really boils down to two huge factors. First, the sheer number of people who came from this one region, and second, the absolutely astonishing survival of their specific cultural practices. It all starts with the simple tragic math of the slave trade. A massive percentage of the enslaved Africans brought to North America didn't come from all over the continent. No, they came from one particular area, the Congo-Angola region, which was the heart of the Kongo Kingdom. This demographic reality, that's the first crucial piece of evidence. And here's the really crucial part. They didn't just show up once. They came in these concentrated waves over time. So what did that do? It meant their culture wasn't just diluted into some big melting pot. Instead, it was constantly being reinforced, like adding fresh logs to a fire, by new arrivals who shared the exact same beliefs and rituals. So, the numbers created this critical mass of people. But this was about so much more than just numbers. It was about cultural survival. These weren't just bodies being transported. These people were carriers of a really sophisticated and resilient culture, and its traces, somehow, miraculously, survived the horrors of the Middle Passage. And this is where the evidence becomes just undeniable. You can literally see the direct echoes. Ritual dances from the Congo become the ring shout in America. The call and response that was so central to Congo worship, it becomes a defining feature of the Black church. Even that powerful crossroads myth in the blues has a direct ancestor, the Congo cosmogram, which is a spiritual map representing the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. I mean, the connections are unmistakable. So what does this all add up to? Well, it means the Congo influence isn't just some small piece of the story. It is the very bedrock. It's the cultural foundation that so many cornerstones of American culture, like the Black church, the blues, spirituals, and gospel music, were built on. But this raises an even more fascinating question. In the brutal, oppressive system of American slavery, which was designed to strip people of their identity, how on earth did these specific traditions survive so well? Well, the Congolese people arrived with something of a secret weapon, a unique cultural advantage. The key is all in the timing. You see, the Kingdom of Congo voluntarily adopted Christianity way back in the late 1400s. That's long before the slave trade to North America really peaked. What that meant was, for generations before they arrived, they had already been weaving Christian ideas into their own cosmology. They had a huge head start. And this led to this absolutely ingenious strategy for survival, something we can call cultural camouflage. It's basically the practice of keeping your traditional beliefs alive by hiding them inside the acceptable framework of the dominant religion, in this case Christianity. It's a brilliant way to protect your culture right in plain sight. So, how did it work? Well, a couple of ways. First, enslaved Congolese people could hear Christian stories about, say, resurrection or spiritual journeys, and they could immediately reinterpret them through their existing African frameworks, like that Congo cosmogram we talked about. And second, this allowed them to continue sacred traditions, like ritual dance or call and response, just by framing them as Christian worship. The outside form looked Christian, but the soul, that source code, that was pure Kongo. So what's the ultimate legacy of all this? When you put all the pieces together, the numbers, the cultural echoes, and this brilliant strategy of camouflage, you realize this isn't some obscure historical footnote. It's a profound influence that has been hiding right in front of us this whole time. This is not just history, it is the living, breathing source code for traditions that define so much of American culture today. From the call and response you might hear at a concert to the deepest, deepest roots of the blues, the echo of the Congo Kingdom is absolutely still with us. Which leaves us with a final thought. Once you learn to see this one hidden source code, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other parts of our world, what other ideas and traditions are also hiding in plain sight, just waiting for us to connect the dots? Thanks for joining us.